This is the Ben Herman Show.
Hey, what's up everyone? Ben Herman here, part of the Ben Herman Show, and we are here at MEX 2025, PBX 2025 as well. It's two conferences combined into one here at the South Point Casino and Hotel here in Las Vegas. And I've got Ryan from Spot My Photo. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. Yeah, we got to meet at your booth, I think either last year or the year prior to that. And I was really impressed with what you've got going on. So we'll talk about that in just a moment.
Yeah.
One thing I'm just curious about is what got you started on this journey of starting Spot My Photo and really serving the photo booth community?
Yeah, so I've always been entrepreneurial. When I was in college, I dabbled in a couple entrepreneurial projects, one of which was a student resource, a central student start page. And the most heavily trafficked portion of that website was photos, right? We would put up galleries, some different collegiate events at my school. I went to Emory. And eventually we started getting requests, not, we were focused on the student resource, but we got requests for photographers. And so we started an event photography company. So really early on, I got into the event world, the event photography world. We were sending out students to take pictures at Greek events, non-Greek events on campus. And then, of course, I would get emails coming in that night or the next day, one of the photos going to be posted. One of the photos going to be posted. So I knew that there was something to rapid distribution of photos. And then also, one thing that I would receive would be the emails from people or the calls saying, hey, I wanted to call, see that picture? That's one of my friends, but that's not, her significant other. Can you please remove that photo? So speed and privacy were really important. So that was my first foray into the event photography world, the photo booth world. And then from there I went on to large scale event production. So I got to see it from the event side and the production side of how you could use photos. So that's initially how I got into it. At a certain point, it wasn't the smartphone, but it was the point and shoot camera that came out, and our business model of selling photos was over. And so at that point, I started thinking, what's next? I knew it was some form of photo sharing service, but I didn't know, and I kind of put it in my back pocket for several years and did other things, but eventually returned to it.
Gotcha. And so when you mentioned event photography, are we talking about DSLRs or even, was it film cameras or was it DSLRs?
At first, yeah. As I was in college, people were still using film cameras, but I was present during that transition, and it was significant for the industry.
Yeah,
film
I remember that too.
To digital,
Yeah.
And so opened up a whole new set of possibilities. And I, went online and I was trying to find how we could distribute photos to people. And I found a small company called Shutterfly, and we were actually one of their first Pro Gallery partners.
Wow.
We were their highest grossing partner early on. This was very early. And so we were working with SLRs, and then we would send photographers to the library for the T1 connection, where they'd upload photos overnight so that everyone could receive their photos the next day.
Wow.
SLRs.
So my start was in the DJ industry, of course, and it was heavily in nightlife, right? So nightclubs, bars, casinos. And I remember a lot of professional photographers would come in as paparazzi photography, right? Or photographers of just candid event shots, right? And same thing, I remember Shutterfly actually around that time. It was like, I would say like around 2010 era.
Yeah.
And they would snap the photo, hand you a business card with a link on it to then go retrieve your photos. So you were like a part of that whole scene then.
Yeah, and
That's awesome.
And in your case, as well as our case, we were answering that question of like, how do we get photos, right? And it's something that every photographer has been asked 10,000 times. And we were always trying to figure out how to answer that question, how to make it easier for people and to connect them with their photos faster. You don't want a New Year's photo 3 days later, right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, instead of getting them the next day, we moved to getting them within seconds. And it's always been a quest to just improve that delivery.
Gotcha. And you said you've always been entrepreneurial. Were there any other business ventures that you founded or launched?
Yeah.
Or is this like the main one?
No, several. And I always have ideas. I love thinking through problems and coming up with solutions, then using technology wherever possible. But this has been the main one, and it's been 14 years. Like this has really been where I've put all of my energy. I feel like I've put 25 years of work into the last 14 years.
And so I guess what is new with Spot My Photo?
So every 2 weeks we roll out new updates. We serve 11 different verticals, everything from photo boothers, obviously, to corporate event photographers, to wedding photographers, a lot of experiential agencies and brand activations. There are political meet and greets that use Spot My Photos, and then headshot photographers. So, just as the year goes around and we go to different conferences, as we manage our technical roadmap, we're constantly improving the system as a whole, but then building out unique capabilities to serve some of these unique segments. So generally the trend is a bunch of features that help photographers to, on the business development front. So it's one thing to deliver photos, but we want to help people to grow their businesses. So we've got a set of tools that are more so business development tools built right into Spot My Photos and our suite of applications. And then we also have a relentless focus on privacy. So, some of our newer features, just to name a few, are a privacy purge we have. We have something called Embargo, which is used on Capitol Hill. If there's a senator, or if you're in Hollywood, or C-suite executives or celebrities, people that care about their personal brand and their online image, we have a feature called Embargo, where that person can be placed under embargo. And let's say you were to jump in a photo with them, even if you've been spotted in other photos, you're not going to receive that photo with them until their team signs off on it. And at that point, you'd receive the photo.
That's incredible.
So we have several features aimed at really giving unprecedented control to photographers and the event organizers that are leveraging the Spot My Photos platform to deliver unique experiences and just control the flow of photos.
Is that based off facial recognition?
So I would liken Spot My Photos to use of facial recognition. However, our origins, because of our focus on privacy, we're actually doing everything except for facial recognition.
Really?
So early on, it was neckline geometry and color spectrum, which would work for small sample sets. But the moment you go to a wedding, particularly guys, all wearing the same thing, people would get the wrong photos. So we added facial recognition, but as a result, we use multiple clues to help deliver photos.
Gotcha.
And it's because of that during the pandemic, when Apple was having trouble with facial recognition and unlocking phones, the Spot My Photos platform hummed along, able to deliver photos to people even with masks.
Wow.
So at this point, I'd say we have the most effective private photo delivery platform that leverages pattern recognition and facial recognition as a core component. But there are mechanisms and workflows that bypass facial recognition. We see some of those being used more in Europe or with financial service clients or even a consulate.
Wow. Ryan, that's really impressive just to hear about, first off, the level of technology that you guys are using. And then in addition to that, the embargo feature is a game changer. I mean, for especially, again, celebrities or people that care about the privacy, that's a huge deal. So that's amazing.
It's been fun and it's hard. We don't want to build features for 2 or 3% of our community. That is one that most people don't use, but I think it's useful and it speaks to the level of attention we give to privacy preferences.
Absolutely. You also touched on business tools. Tell me more. What are the business tools that are at disposal using your platform?
So we've got several. I would want to just take a step back and get into the mindset of either a DJ or that's offering photo services, or photographers or photo booth operators. We want to provide anyone using our platform with the tool to deliver a great experience. And we believe that through delivering a great experience, a light bulb should go off in people's minds if they're impressed, and they should think, wow, I want this at my event, right? And so we are focused on giving the tools to deliver that elevated experience. But along the way, even though it's hard, particularly for photographers are really laser focused on their craft and delivering photos. And if it's a high volume step and repeat, it's like next. There's an operational component. But we want people to wear that business development hat. And when they see a glimmer in someone's eyes, or if someone's really interested, rather than mention, we'd be happy to help you out, here's a card. We want to give them the tools to increase their conversion rate on connecting with that person. So we do have some features in our app whereby someone could mark a given photo or individual for follow-up later. And we have other forms of engagement and tools that people could utilize. It's always the client first, but we want to make sure that any of our partners are also putting their information in the gallery experience. And again, if they're delivering a great experience and people are having a good time, we want to make sure that when it comes time for someone else to book an event, that they're turning back to that person.
So you're saying that within the gallery, is there some sort of call to action of, hey, if you'd like to book my services for your event, that kind of thing?
That kind of thing, it's going to depend on the client, on what's appropriate. Some, a wedding, it might be, one line at the bottom, photo-related inquiries, click here, right?
Gotcha.
And a photographer might put their name. But for other events, if someone's sponsoring a chamber event, and I've seen DJs and photo booth operators and photographers sponsor a chamber event, nothing wrong with saying, interested in learning more about these services, click here. And then
so you have that optionality as well.
Yeah, we have that option, and then we have something that we call prompt built in, which essentially is a survey that you could prompt at any point. So we see people that are doing brand activations prompt people before they get their photos. For other events, you might want to prompt people after. Did you enjoy your experience? Can you envision a service like this, et cetera?
Wow.
And then getting people's contact information.
That is incredible. So it becomes a lead gen tool as well.
Yeah, and I like to say, people will say, this is amazing. This is such a slick photo delivery tool. This is so smooth, and it is. But it is a business development tool. It's a marketing and engagement, a powerful marketing and engagement platform.
I was gonna say it's almost a version of an activation, right?
It is,
where it's interactive marketing.
Yeah, and what better than to have your own activation while you're getting paid?
That's incredible.
By a client. You're getting paid by a client. It's an activation for them, but it's also an activation for our partners.
Yeah.
And the ones who really get that, and it's hard. Again, I mentioned a photographer snapping pictures. Next. It's really hard to think about it as an activation, but if someone can weave that thread carefully and engage with people, every event that they're using Spot My Photos, they should be getting new leads.
Love that. Do you have a nurturing component to it as well?
In terms of following up with people?
Exactly.
Yeah, so we have the ability to remarket to people through a messaging feature. And we have limitations on how far after an event this could be done. And we've arranged
which
plans.
is nice.
So we think that it's important to engage with people, bring closure to it. And then if someone really enjoyed the experience, again, we want to make sure that they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you also have, this might be kind of outside of the scope, but when it comes to reputation management, right? That I could see, yes, the client, of course, reviews that photographer, photo booth operator, DJ after the event. But what about the guests? Like, is there some sort of like, hey, what did you think about the experience yesterday? That kind of, as they're retrieving their photos, is there some sort of like,
that's our
give
prompt
me 5
feature.
stars?
Yeah,
oh, really?
That's the prompt feature.
Wow, that's amazing.
So you could prompt people, and then you can get a CSV file of all the answers afterwards.
Wow.
And you could potentially have a call to action within the gallery and ask people to review your company.
Yeah.
There are lots of things that you could do.
Oh, that's incredible. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what other things are a part of the platform that we haven't discussed?
Well, there's so many. Again, we serve a lot of different markets. At the end of the day, Spot My Photos is focused on 2 things. We want to get 3 things, I'll say. Our tagline is shoot, spot, share. And we want to get photos up to the cloud. We want to get them out to the right people, and then we want to do it in a way that elevates the experience. So we're always working on new things toward that end. It is the Photo Booth Expo, and probably we weren't going to announce it until tomorrow, but we are releasing a beta called SMP Booth, which is essentially a lighter version of Spot My Photos that photo boothers came up with. Photo boothers are very creative, and it was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. Jonathan Zhao, Booth Easy, had provided a photo booth for one of our trade shows, and we linked it up to stream to our back end to Spot My Photos. And what was fascinating is that we could have roaming photographers that were taking people's pictures, but people could go up to the photo booth, take a picture, and not have to enter their phone number. And that photo would, after about 3 or 4 seconds, populate within their gallery privately and automatically.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it's something that our photo boothers have been doing for a long time. Shelly from Pop Social has been a pioneer in using both roaming photography as well as stationary photo experiences in her work with large brands. There's a very cool company by the name of the Self-Portrait Project. Have you heard of them?
No.
So it's interesting. They're able to put photo booths in and allow people to interact with the photo booth to take their own portraits. And people feel very comfortable, because they're directly in front of this station without necessarily an operator. And so people can register with a QR code, which is one of many forms of registration that you can do with Spot My Photos, and then receive every photo they're in. And so with Jonathan Zhao, with Andy Lin and the Self-Portrait Project, with Shelley from Pop Social, people could potentially walk in front of a photo booth, take a picture, and walk away without having to put in their number. And so particularly, you could see the benefit for high throughput photo stations where they're going through like
because a lot of times the
5 times as
lines
fast.
build up because people
Yeah.
take forever
Right.
typing in their information.
Right. So we'll be releasing this as an entry-level tier and something that is comfortable for photo boothers. Many photo boothers with Spot My Photos, we're primarily roaming event photography, but it can be used in stationary environment too. And this allows photo boothers to use all the equipment that they currently have to pick their favorite photo booth application, and Spot My Photos is compatible.
Wow.
So we're really excited about that, and I know we've started to get questions, more and more questions that are in this area.
So you're saying that essentially it can hook up to any photo booth on the market.
Any modern photo booth application.
Wow, that's amazing.
Is compatible.
Yeah. And then I could also see if it's a photographer that's offering, because it's not just DJs that offer photo booths as an add-on, it's also photographers, right?
Yeah.
So photographers could actually link it up to the roaming photography right?
Yeah.
And then have a seamless experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that the way that you put that. Event photographers can offer the add-on, right, of another photo booth, particularly if they see the numbers for a given event. Maybe they would typically have another photographer, or it's just an easy add-on there, and vice versa. So it also works with those roamers, the iPad roamers, and we see all sorts of things coming through our platform. But leave it to the photo boothers in particular. They're very creative and come up with new ways to use our platform all the time.
Love it. And so how does it work? I'm assuming, is it like a subscription base for the operator or the business owner? And do they upsell their clients, or is it something that's already integrated in their services? What do you usually see?
We see both. We see we see a couple different segments. We've got photographers that are all in on Spot My Photos, offering the value add and essentially elevating their event experiences. They do it because it's good for business.
Absolutely.
Saves them time. They don't have to get these questions of when are the photos going to be posted. So there are some people that include it in their services and maybe build it into their costs. There are other people that will say it's an extra $500 or an extra $1,000 to add it to an event. But when you're delivering photos in real time, when guests are coming and rushing back to you, you're doing more than traditional photo booth experience or traditional event photography. Yeah. And so as a result, we're seeing that people in some cases are charging 2 or 3 times what they would for normal services. And I'm always impressed by that. But the biggest benefit continues to be back to what we were talking about earlier. It's the business development. Yeah. It's the fact that at every event, if they're being strategic, they're picking up new bookings and growing exponentially. I would say AGNYC is a company out of New York that has done particularly well with this. Their photo services, photography and photo booths, they've got all sorts of photo booths, but they have really grown their business, not only locally in the New York market, working with a lot of the pro sports teams and a lot of really high-end private events, but also nationally. They've grown their client base, and they're leveraging the Spot My Photos network. We've got people in every city. If it doesn't make sense to hop on a flight, they are using our network and sending out people to essentially white label or subcontract for them. Yeah. And so, there are a handful of people that are really growing, in that way.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. So what you're essentially saying, Ryan, is that your company helps these businesses become more profitable because they can charge more if they wanted to.
Yep.
It provides a better elevated experience, so standing apart from the competition, right? Yep. So you're no longer a commodity. So decommoditize your business. In addition, a lead generation tool, a nurturing tool, social proof capture.
Yep.
I mean, it's got a lot of things that are pretty incredible.
Yeah, and it's a win-win for everyone. There are a lot of lenses to look at Spot My Photos from. We want to look at attendees at the who are receiving photos, the event organizers, the operators, and the licensees. But it really does help all members of that value chain, and helps to glean and derive more value out of the experience.
So I'm assuming at this point in time, there's some listeners and viewers, their interest is peaked right now, right? First and foremost, how does someone get signed on to your service? Is there hardware required with either the cameras or the photo booths?
Yep.
Or how does that work?
Yeah, so everything is online. So spotmyphotos.com is where you would go. There are also some videos online that people are posting with different use cases. The beautiful thing about Spot My Photos, particularly for boothers and DJs, is that it works with the equipment that they already have, particularly Spot My Photos booth.
Wow.
You could use existing photo booths. Photographers already have cameras. And Canon, Nikon, and Sony have all integrated Spot My Photos capabilities into their modern camera systems.
Really?
So Canon was first. You get an extra button on the back of your camera using their firmware with Spot My Photos. Nikon and Sony to follow. So there is wireless connectivity directly to the Spot My Photos platform. However, we believe that corded is the future. So for the photographers that are roaming, we would advise our mobile tethering kit, which is available on Amazon. We partner with a company called Tether Tools.
Okay.
Orange Cable Company, everyone knows them. They're synonymous with reliable tethering methods. So it's a $149 mobile tethering kit, which has become the industry standard for streaming securely while shooting.
Wow.
But as for Spot My Photos booth, no equipment would be needed whatsoever.
Yeah. And so for those roaming photographers, I'm assuming it goes on hot shoe or just like on the mounts to the cage.
Yeah, mounts to the cage. So we have a universal rig. The Spot My Photos mobile tethering kit has a clamp, a base rig, screws in with a tripod mount onto the bottom of the camera, and you essentially have a phone right next to your camera. It gives the phone a brain and a transmitter to get photos up to the cloud.
Wow.
So pretty slick. We have the universal rig, but then lots of our photographers have come up with their own Frankenstein versions, and they circulate them within our member Facebook group.
Yeah, and I'm assuming the challenging part is maybe folks at events won't get their photos right away if there's spotty Wi-Fi service or no service at all, like cell reception either.
Yep.
But the second that you tap into an online connection, it uploads at that point, right?
So obviously real time is great, and I'm glad you mentioned that. We're about control. So real time I think is the coolest, and people think of us as the real time, instant photo sharing platform, but it's really about control. We do have approved distribution modes for weddings. Sometimes photos will be dropped at a point that's later or near real time. But yeah, we have an offline mode, we have QR codes, and we've learned from photographers and DJs. We have backups, and we have backups for backups, always built in.
Yeah, redundancies, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Yeah, it's amazing. Well, Ryan, how can people find out more about Spot My Photos? Also social media handles of where they can maybe, or on YouTube even, where they can see the product in action, right? And the service in action to get a better understanding before they look into signing up.
Yeah, so search for Spot My Photos on YouTube and you'll see some examples. And then I think our website is the primary place for more information. If you'd like to get in touch with us. We could set up a demo and maybe share some use cases that are relevant to yours.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for hopping on the show. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, really appreciate you. Thanks so much.